Christmas Eve, truth. The snow fell in thick, silent flakes outside the glass walls of Wellington Technologies, blanketing the city in pristine white as Marcus Wellington gathered the last of his papers from his executive desk. Christmas Eve had arrived with the kind of winter stillness that made even the bustling downtown district feel peaceful and expectant. At 38, Marcus had built his company into one of the most successful tech firms in the region, but tonight, success felt hollow as he prepared to spend another holiday alone. His 7-year-old daughter Emma was with her grandparents in Denver for the week, his late wife's parents, who had insisted on continuing their tradition of a family Christmas, despite the fact that their daughter had been gone for 3 years now. Marcus had agreed because he knew Emma needed that connection to her mother's memory, but it left him facing the holiday with only the echo of his footsteps in their too-quiet house. The office building was nearly empty, just the hum of heating systems and the distant sound of a maintenance crew working on the upper floors. Marcus had stayed late not because of urgent business, but because going home to a house without Emma's laughter and Christmas excitement felt more daunting than reviewing quarterly reports. As he finally locked his office and made his way to the parking garage, Marcus noticed something unusual through the building's back exit window. In the alley behind the building, partially hidden by the large dumpster that served the restaurant next door, was what looked like a pile of discarded blankets and cardboard. But as he looked more carefully, adjusting his eyes to the dim light from the street lamp, Marcus realized with a shock that someone was sleeping there. The temperature had dropped below freezing, and the snow was accumulating rapidly. No one should be outside in these conditions, especially not in that makeshift shelter that would provide little protection against the bitter wind. Marcus changed direction immediately, pushing through the back exit into the alley. The cold hit him like a physical force, making him grateful for his expensive wool coat and warm gloves. As he approached the pile of bedding, he could see that his initial assessment had been correct. Someone was indeed sleeping there, curled up in what appeared to be several layers of old blankets and torn plastic sheeting. "Hello?" Marcus called softly, not wanting to startle whoever was taking shelter there. "Are you okay?" The bundle stirred, and a small face emerged from the layers of fabric. The face of a child, a little girl who couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. Her dark hair was tangled and dirty, her cheeks red from the cold, and her eyes held the wariness of someone who had learned to be afraid of strangers. "I'm not doing anything wrong," she said quickly, her voice hoarse from the cold. "I'll move if you want me to. I just needed somewhere warm." Marcus felt his heart constrict. This child was alone, sleeping rough on Christmas Eve, and her first instinct was to apologize for seeking shelter. "Hey, it's okay," Marcus said gently, crouching down to her eye level despite the wet pavement soaking through his expensive suit pants. "I'm not going to make you move. I'm worried about you being out here in this weather. What's your name?" The girl studied his face carefully, as if trying to determine whether he could be trusted. "Lily," she said finally. "Lily, I'm Marcus. Are you out here by yourself?" Lily nodded, pulling the blankets tighter around her small frame. "My mom had to go to the hospital 3 days ago. She told me to wait at home, but the lady from the office came and said I couldn't stay there anymore because Mom didn't pay the rent. She said they were going to find me a place to go, but I got scared and ran away." Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach that had nothing to do with the weather. "How long have you been sleeping outside, Lily?" 2 nights. Last night wasn't so cold, but tonight," she shivered. And Marcus could see that her lips had a bluish tinge that spoke of dangerous exposure to the elements. "Listen to me very carefully, Lily. You can't stay out here tonight. You could get very sick or worse. I need to get you somewhere warm and safe." "I don't have anywhere to go," Lily said. And despite her obvious fear, there was a dignity in her voice that broke Marcus's heart. "And I don't have any money to pay you." "You don't need money," Marcus said firmly. "Right now you just need to get warm and have something to eat. Can you walk okay?" Lily nodded and began struggling to her feet, gathering her meager belongings. A small backpack that looked like it had seen better days, and a stuffed animal so worn that its original color was impossible to determine. Marcus noticed that her shoes were too big for her feet and had holes that let in the snow and slush. My car is just around the corner, Marcus said. We'll get you somewhere safe and then we'll figure out how to find your mom, okay? As they made their way to Marcus's car, Lily stumbling slightly on her cold-numbed feet, Marcus's mind raced through options. He could take her to the police, but on Christmas Eve, the system would be even more overwhelmed than usual. He could take her to the hospital, but without knowing her mother's condition or location, that might just result in Lily being placed in temporary care with strangers. Lily, Marcus said as he helped her into the passenger seat of his car and turned the heat up to maximum. Do you remember the name of the hospital where your mom went? St. Mary's, Lily said immediately. She said it was the big one downtown where they help people who don't have a lot of money. Marcus knew St. Mary's well. Wellington Technologies had donated to their charity care program for years. If Lily's mother was there, they would be able to track her down. Okay, we're going to call them and find your mom. But first, let's get you some food and warm clothes. 20 minutes later, they were sitting in an all-night diner that Marcus had never noticed before despite driving past it hundreds of times. Lily sat across from him in a booth, wrapped in Marcus's suit jacket, slowly working her way through a bowl of chicken soup and grilled cheese sandwich while Marcus made phone calls. The charge nurse at St. Mary's was initially reluctant to give out patient information. But when Marcus explained the situation and offered to bring Lily to the hospital immediately, her tone softened. We do have a Sarah Mitchell in our ICU, she said finally. She was brought in 3 days ago after collapsing at work. Are you family? No, I'm... Marcus looked at Lily, who was listening intently while pretending to focus on her soup. I found her daughter sleeping outside. The child says her mother told her to wait at home, but it sounds like she was evicted. There was a long pause. Bring her in, the nurse said. I'll make sure Dr. Patterson knows you're coming. An hour later, Marcus sat in the family waiting room of St. Mary's ICU while Lily was reunited with her mother. Through the glass window, he could see the small family together, Sarah Mitchell, pale but conscious, holding her daughter's hand while tears streamed down both their faces. Dr. Patterson, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, approached Marcus with 2 cups of coffee from the machine down the hall. Sarah's going to be fine, she said, settling into the chair beside Marcus. She had a severe kidney infection that led to complications, but she's responding well to treatment. She should be able to go home in a few days. What about the housing situation? Marcus asked. That's more complicated. Sarah works 2 jobs but doesn't have insurance through either one. Between the medical bills and losing 3 days of work plus the missed rent, Dr. Patterson shrugged sadly. It's a common story, unfortunately. People get sick, they can't work, they lose their homes. The cycle is hard to break. Marcus was quiet for a moment, watching Lily show her mother the stuffed animal she had kept safe during her nights alone. Dr. Patterson, hypothetically, if someone wanted to help with Sarah's medical bills and housing situation, how would that work? The doctor studied his face carefully. Are you asking hypothetically or are you asking practically? Practically. Then I'd say that Sarah Mitchell is exactly the kind of person who would rather work for help than accept charity. She's proud, but she's not foolish. If there was a way to frame assistance as an opportunity rather than a handout, she might be willing to consider it. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the doorway of Wellington Technologies' new Employee Family Services office, watching Sarah Mitchell review applications for the company's Emergency Assistance Fund. She had turned out to be exactly what Dr. Patterson had suggested. Proud, capable, and grateful for an opportunity to work rather than simply receive charity. Sarah now managed the program that helped employees and their families navigate crises like the one that had nearly cost her everything. Her own experience with sudden illness, housing insecurity, and the complex bureaucracy of social services made her uniquely qualified to help others in similar situations. How's Lily adjusting to the new apartment? Marcus asked, settling into the chair across from Sarah's desk. She loves having her own room, Sarah replied with a smile. Though I think what she loves most is knowing that if something happens to me again, she has people she can call. You gave us more than financial help, Marcus. You gave us security. Through the office window, Marcus could see Lily in the company's on-site child care center, reading a book to some of the younger children while they waited for their parents to finish work. The transformation from the frightened child he had found sleeping in an ale.